We are going to make a start. So, good afternoon. We are starting Module 2, Objective 1, which has the title of Characteristics of a Digital User. Now, we have some types of users when it comes to this digital world. Some terms we'll come across, such as digital native, digital immigrant, and I think we covered it already, but we're going to go more in depth as to who they are, what do they believe, how do they think, how do they act, and so on. Well, firstly, we have to talk about what is the era that we are living in right now. We're living in what is called the IT age, the information technology age, the computer age, digital age, new media age, whatever term we want to refer to it as. So, would anyone like to start the reading?
Yes. Information age, right?
Yes.
Okay. As we continue this development in information technology in relations to digital media, our history is shaped by this new digital age. This era is seeing a move from traditional industry practices that we saw after industrial revolution to the computer-based society we are living in today. With the advances excuse me, made in this digital revolution, our very existence has somewhat changed and continues to change at a rapid pace.
Good. So, what characteristics, what indicates that we are in the computer age, the digital age, the new age? What are the characteristics? What indicates that we are living in this digital age?
Is it like the digital revolution, like advances in technology?
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
No.
What was the question?
What characterizes the digital age?
Would it be that most stuff you need to do now, you need to do it over the internet? You can't just do it like how they used to do it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Such as like if you're applying for a job, now you just have to apply online. Nobody really don't take paper applications anymore.
Very good. That's a good example. So, what characterizes a digital age is that we're using technology for almost everything. We're going to communicate, we're going to use technology. We are going to carry out some form of task, maybe do an assignment. We are going to use technology. I remember the days when you used to write assignments on those writing papers. Y'all ever used to do that?
Yeah, you said to drop your cover page with marker.
Right. And you had to put it in one of paper folders, and I used to design the folder cover and draw on it and make a nice cover. So back then you didn't used to use technology to do any assignment. Everything was paper based. But today, most assignments, SBA, IA, majority of them don't even get a physical copy. Most of them are in the digital format. So everything we're doing today, majority of the tasks we're doing today, is being done by some form of technology. So that's what this last line here is indicating, that our existence has somewhat changed and continues to change at a rapid pace. So the things that we are doing continues to change. It's not that just because we get a computer, now we do everything in one software. Are we going to keep using a computer? Because today we use our phone. We moved from the desktop, we went to the laptop. Now we're at our phone. Almost everything could be done on our phone. We could communicate on our phone. We can do our assignments on our phone. We can do the video conferencing, the class on our phone. We can submit work through our phone. Everything can be done on our phone now. So the way we do things keeps advancing. It keeps changing. And I think we talked about this already, but it's like if you don't keep up with it, just like the traditional methods of doing things, you can disappear with those older methods. So that there indicates that information age. Now, what are some features of the digital age? Features of the digital age. So we just mentioned a few. Uses technology. What else? Shante mentioned using the internet. What else do we have? So the digital age is more interactive. So like how we have this class right now, it's a bit more interactive in that I could ask you questions, you guys can communicate back, you guys can ask me questions, we can do activities, but like if we had a normal class, we could have done activities together, make the class more interactive, make the class more innovative, in that we incorporate technology into what we're doing. The digital age is a bit more global in that almost everyone can access the same service, the same tool. Like everybody has access to Google Classroom and all of its benefits. Everyone has access to Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and so on. It's technological. Well, I'm going to remove that one there. Uses technology, meaning the same thing. Traditional geographical barriers have been removed. Multiculturalism. Location is no longer an obstacle. We can even add collaboration. So those are the characteristics or features of the digital age. What is a knowledge society? Does anybody know? What is a knowledge society?
A society of knowledge, like a group of people that like know stuff. Like, yeah.
We could somewhat work with that, a group of people that know stuff. So how does that benefit them? A society that knows stuff, how does that benefit them?
They got no one to do with it. Like how should I put it? Okay, like it's okay, like
They will know
with the
how to
new
act.
yeah, maybe so it's like if they have knowledge on certain thing, like let's say the current generation, right, that has a lot of knowledge on like new technologies that are emerging and so on, like they'll be able to better use it and know what to do with it and so on, unlike people who don't know how to use it. Yeah.
Exactly. So a knowledge society is basically a society that is knowledgeable. They know how to do certain things. So with that knowledge now, they can basically be able to carry out various tasks. So knowledge society is a term to describe societies which are economically and culturally characterized by a high degree of dependency on their potentials to create scientific and technological knowledge. So, because of that knowledge capability, they can use it to innovate, they can use it to better carry out tasks, they can use it to be more efficient, and so on. So, like, if like a majority of persons today, if they gotta make a video, they know how to do that. This, like, we can say that's like second nature to anybody today. How to edit a video, how to make a video. Almost everybody knows how to take a photo, how to edit a photo. So they use that to their benefit. Now, what is a digital native? So the next paragraph, who's going to read that for us? Shante? Or Shante still looking for food?
Yeah, she's still looking for food. Anyways, who is a digital native? Any person who was born during or after the introduction of digital technologies, including those who interact with digital technologies from an early age, developing a great understanding of its use. Generally, any person born after the year 2000 is considered a digital native. However, there has been massive introduction of a digital society prior to the year 2000. A digital native includes persons that grew up in a society where the uses of technology has been dominant and continues to evolve as they learn more to adapt and apply. A digital native has a firm understanding of the value of digital technologies and will use them to see possibilities that become available.
So, in your own words, what or who is a digital native?
Basically, somebody who grew up using technology or in the era where technology was now like introduced and out there.
Very good. So, simply put, a native, digital native, is somebody who grew up with technology. So, it's just like if you describe somebody who is a native. If you say they're a Guyanese native, it means that they grew up in Guyana. So, similarly, if you're a digital native, it means that you would have grown up with technology. So, roughly, what time period would you say you would have to have been born in Guyana to be considered a digital native?
2018.
2018, so long?
Yeah, but I still had a mango pelter then,
But it's still technology.
but like not the very, like advanced ones.
So they had the best.
No, definitely not.
But it was still technology, nevertheless. I would say, so if you notice, the paragraph mentioned that like if a person was born after the year 2000, they would have been considered a digital native, but that's more for first world countries because they would have had access to technology. They would have had more accessibility to technology. Here in Guyana, we did not have such accessibility until a few persons did have. So those persons would have been considered natives. They grew up with computers and phones and so on. But I would say it's more around the year 2010, somewhere around that time period. It's like that's when technology was like very common in Guyana. Phones, almost everybody was getting a phone. Even if it's just a mango pelter, it's still technology. You could still SMS and send. You could have used lower version of the internet, a slower connection, 2G internet. You could have used that and make communication, send instant messages, and so on. So around that time, technology was taken off in Guyana. So those persons, they grew up with technology. They can be considered natives. Um, but like you're saying, not everybody had that opportunity. So later down, more persons would have gotten access. So like 2015 time, maybe that's when everybody could have gotten access. We could have guaranteed that everyone could have gotten access to a smartphone or some form of tablet or so on. So they could have really experienced technology. But a native, in simple words, is somebody who grew up with technology. So as we can see here, like today, almost like every household you go into, what does a child have? Almost
A tablet.
right.
Yeah.
Almost every household you go into, a child has a tablet. So those children are natives. Almost all children today are natives. How do you think my first day of kindergarten went? They didn't even had Wi-Fi. So you see, he's so accustomed to having Wi-Fi at home that when he goes to school, he wants to have Wi-Fi. So that's how natives behave, how they act. So the next question is, what are the beliefs of a digital native? What do they believe? What do they think? How do they act? Well, that's the next question. Well, so what do they believe?
To be honest, I don't know, but them little children does, yeah, they just really act out when they don't get like their tablet or they don't get Wi-Fi for play the game and so on. So like, I don't know. Maybe they think they can't live without it.
Good. Yes, that is it. So they believe they cannot live without technology. What else?
Would it be like how they does act like if they could do something and you can't do it?
So they believe that they are better because they can use technology to do so much things than you. So they believe that they're better, they're more dominant. They believe that technology can solve everything. So, what are their attitudes / behaviors of a native? What do they believe? How do they not believe? How do they act? How do they behave? So it's kind of like their belief.
How about them disregarding the old ways? Like if a teacher tell them to write a letter, they might ask like, what? Like what? Writing letters instead of typing stuff.
Good. So they prefer using technology over traditional methods. typing instead of writing. Cannot live without their phone. Yes.
Could one of them be like um whitewashing, like like how the American influence on them because of the technology? Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this point, but something like that.
Adapting the stuff they see on the internet.
So
And like having a preference for that over like your tradition or your culture.
can you repeat what you said, Marima?
I said having a preference for like the American culture than your traditional culture.
Preference. It's not necessarily for the American culture. It's more of how should I put it?
What's trending?
Yes, that preference for what's trending in the world. So they want to behave and act that way. Good. All right, so let's move on to digital immigrant. Somebody could go ahead and read.
What
Chante?
page are we on? Yes.
No, I was calling you to read because I'm eating. So
How you know me eating those?
Because you
you don't cook.
That is so mean. What page?
39.
39.
Any person born or brought up immigrant before the general universal use of digital technology. For digital immigrants, they must learn to use technology and embrace it if they are to remain viable and competitive in a digital technological advanced society. They must understand the need to use digital services in their day-to-day activities.
Good. Say in your own words, who or what is a digital immigrant?
Persons that had to learn to use technology.
Good.
It wasn't secondhand for them. It was just something new.
Or you can say persons who did not grow up with technology. So those are going to be persons like who?
Old people.
Old people, our parents, grandparents, so on. So most of them did not get a chance to grow up with technology. It could be because of they weren't born around when technology was around, or it could be that they couldn't afford it. Either way, they did not grow up with technology. They were not using technology, so they are called digital immigrants. So it's kind of like how you did not grow up in America, so you're not native to America, but you want to live in America, so you gotta move over there, and now you gotta live like them, act like them, and so on. So you're an immigrant. Similarly, in the society of technology, if we don't live according to this society, what can happen to us? It's digital society.
Unemployed.
Unemployed.
How do I explain? Like, even if you get a business, if you don't use technology to like advertise it, your business won't grow.
Good. So if we do not adopt technology, if we do not embrace technology, then we basically will be left back.
You'll be behind.
We'll be behind. So we will be just like how all of the traditional methods of carrying out tasks have become just a memory of the past. If we do not accept technology, adapt it, we too can become like that. So persons who did not grow up with technology, they are basically being forced to learn technology, to adapt technology. So you got a lot of persons who say that they can't learn the computer, they did not grow up with a computer, but they had to learn it. They had to go and learn how to type, they had to go and learn how to use a computer so that they can do their jobs now on a computer. Like for example, those persons like clerks and so on, when they had to prepare letters for the CEO, maybe they used to write the letters or use a typewriter, but now they have to type it on a computer. So they got to learn how to use the computer, how to start up the computer, how to shut down the computer, how to open an application, how to close it, how to use the keyboard, how to use the mouse. We might think all of those things are simple, but remember, these persons, they did not grow up with it like us, so they don't. It's like to us, it's second nature, but to them, it's like totally foreign. It's like exactly like if you're going to a new country, you don't know anything at all. So it can be a bit overwhelming for them, but they are basically being forced to adapt to this society. Adapt to this society. Any comments?
No.
Alright, so same as before. What are the beliefs, attitudes, behaviors of a digital immigrant?
How about they get easily frustrated when it comes to like doing stuff on using their phone or something or some other service that is not
Slow
traditional?
internet. The slow internet.
What about the slow internet?
Slow internet is frustrating. I have my little brother when he playing game and the internet like got problems.
Mm.
All kind of moods you to see.
But he's a native.
Oh, we're talking about immigrants, and
Yeah.
whoops, I switch him up. This is what happens when you're hungry.
I like how you didn't question that I know you was a native.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So they get frustrated. What else? Which method?
Wouldn't the beliefs be like what you stated that they can't use it because they didn't grow up in it?
So they feel unable to use technology. What method do they prefer? The older method or the new method?
Older. I guess.
You're unsure?
Yeah, because like if you like learn something new and it makes life easier, I would be very adapted to it
Good.
personally.
But that's your attitude as a native. But an immigrant doesn't think that way. So an immigrant, they actually prefer to
Would that be the
use.
same like how the older generation like took over Facebook? Didn't they enjoy it?
But remember, they basically adapt it. So, but like we're not only talking about social media. digital immigrants before they get into the like the same thing that you mentioned there, like all the people they took over Facebook. But before they actually got into Facebook, they used to tell the children that, look, I don't want to learn how to use Facebook. I don't want Facebook. They would plain say that. They prefer the older method of just calling the person and talking to the person. They don't want Facebook and all these things. But it's later on when they start to see the advantages, when they start to see how easy it is to set up the Facebook and message the person and see all the people in pictures and the post and so on, and how easy it is to like the people picture, and how easy it is to give them a video call, then they start to see how easy it is and they start to adopt it. But in the beginning, if you first introduce them to something, they can always say that, look, I prefer to use this older method. Natives are the same. Every human is the same. If you're accustomed to one method and you know you're good at carrying out this method, you won't switch right away to anything else. You got to see the benefits first. You got to learn how to use it first, and then you would decide to switch over. Yeah, what else? How else do they act, behave? Nothing.
How about they refuse it in the beginning, like anything new to learn about, they kind of like refuse it when they hear like you gotta do certain things. They kind of like say no.
So they do not readily accept technology. All right, so that's digital immigrants. Good. So here we have a native with the immigrants. So in this case here, the child would have to be showing the older person how to use the computer. I think this image is in the book. So the father, he's at home. He's accustomed to reading the newspaper, the physical newspaper, to get the news. But his daughter comes home. He asks the daughter, how was her day? Instead of her talking to her father physically, she thinks it's more beneficial, or it's more, what's the word? Efficient. Instead, like not wasting time. Her father to just go on her blog and read it instead of her taking up time to tell him when she already posted it on the internet. I'll ever tell your parents though? Read my day on the internet?
No.
Just that is considered answering back.
It's like this here. So you're showing them how to use the computer, you're showing them how to use Facebook, and they can't handle it, they can't process it. And up to today, they can't understand how to use Facebook properly. They don't know how to send a message properly, how to do certain things properly. You do
It's gotta be hearing.
it, and I'll do your homework. So here we have an image. Maybe the father has a job, and the job is to manage a website, create a website. And the child has more skill, has more knowledge as to how to create a website. But the child has some simple homeworks that maybe the parents could handle. Some mathematical equations or some research and so on. So they decide to switch up roles. Would any of you like to download children?
You know.
Or are you saying you know, like if it's possible?
Who wants children?
You're missing the point.
Yeah, but like,
You're missing the point,
no.
Irina.
I know it
You're
cannot be downloaded, but like,
you're, you're
what
too
if it could be?
you're too serious about this conversation. I'm sensing some trauma with this conversation.
Yes, big time.
You were pressured into having children.
No, what the hell, no.
All right, that brings us to the end of objective 1. So we're gonna go on to objective 2. Yeah, how Starbucks is it?
No.
That's sad. Yeah, we're movie night.
No.
Also no.
That's sad.
The Starbucks one is, but the second one really isn't.
Sad. Symbol. Good. So, objective 2, the digital media environment. So we talked about the users. Now we got to talk about the environment that these users have to get into. So we're going to talk about the definition and scope of the digital media ecosystem, elements of that ecosystem, types of ecosystem or types of media that are in the ecosystem, major players in the digital media industry, and emerging trends and digital media industries. So firstly, what is the digital media ecosystem? Who's going to start us off?
The DM ecosystem represents a vast distributed society which is adaptive in nature and has many socio-technical systems that can be extended, scalable, and are sustainable. There are hundreds of players in the ecosystem, but all learning how to coexist and compete. And even collaborating has become necessary.
Good. So firstly, what is an ecosystem? This should be the easiest question for y'all. I'm supposed to know this thing right off of y'all head. Y'all are science majors.
Isn't it where organisms interact and coexist?
Good. That's it.
Yeah.
So an ecosystem is one which, as you said, organisms interact with each other, along with the environment, interact. So similarly, our digital media ecosystem is where we have various components, various persons, various industries various technologies, all interacting with each other, all making up this society, this ecosystem, working together, collaborating with each other, coexisting. So, in an ecosystem, going back to science, in an ecosystem, do in that natural ecosystem, do these components depend upon each other? Do they need each other to exist? Or could like one component exist without the other in that ecosystem?
No, they pretty much need each other.
Right. So they need each other. So similarly, in our ecosystem, we need each other also. We can't depend upon on our own. We can't defend upon our own. In order for us to get like true development, we need each other. So our ecosystem is adaptive in that as new technology comes out, as new methods come out in order how to carry out various tasks, we adapt those methods. So that's our ecosystem is adaptive in nature. We have a lot of components, we have a lot of elements, hundreds of players in our ecosystem. So we have a lot of different technologies, we have a lot of different software, we have a lot of different hardware, we have a lot of different persons with different skill sets. We have web developers, programmers, AI developers, application developers, hardware developers, so much different players that coexist and even compete and work along with each other, collaborating with each other. So, like for instance, can a software developer work without a hardware developer? If we were to erase all the hardware developers in the world, can the software developer be successful?
No, because there won't be any way to use it.
Exactly. So the software developers, even though it's almost nothing relating to the hardware, they still depend upon the hardware developers because what is going to run the software if you don't get hardware, and vice versa? The hardware developers, you need software in order to make the hardware function, so you cannot live without them. So if we search for digital media ecosystem, what will we find? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Open image in another tab. So good. So we have an ecosystem here, streaming media / entertainment ecosystem. So to stream media, like if we're streaming a movie, we're streaming a video, we need a mobile application to do that. Some sort of application, maybe on a phone, a tablet. We need a phone, a physical phone. So we need the software, we need the hardware, we need the internet in order to transmit that media. We need advertisements to indicate to persons that look, this movie is available, this series is available. Big data is just a term to represent a collection of a lot of data. So maybe different methods of how to stream and different forms of application and hardware and different methods of transmitting the media. Technology providers, so you need internet service providers, you need persons who are going to supply various hardware, various software, and so on. So, and we can even add more to this ecosystem. And this is just for streaming. Other ecosystems might look similar, might have similar components, but this is just an idea as to how the ecosystem can look. Image. All right, so we already reviewed an ecosystem, and let's see if we can find another one, the same one that's showing in the textbook. You can get a better color of it. Yes. So we have another one here. So with this one here, digital media ecosystem. So can you guys describe to me what this ecosystem is telling us? Excuse me. What is the ecosystem telling us? What is it indicating? Or how would you describe it?
This song's more like in terms of connection wise, yeah, getting those connections in, like see how you got satellite people there, and then you got, yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now.
So what does that mean? Remember, ecosystem is various components, various elements that are working together in this one space.
Is it that they're all dependent on each other so that whatever they're creating can actually be used and or improved?
Mm-hmm. So give me an example using this version of the ecosystem that you see here.
So if we create, like somebody create a movie,
Mm-hmm.
they'll need web applications to advertise the movie so that it can reach a broader audience, and it also need the network channels to display it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll need an audience to give it feedback on
Good.
this thing, and yeah, and then they got the other management systems that could
Very,
document everything.
very good. So that is correct. So you got your web developers. Maybe if you want to develop a website to host the content, like maybe like Netflix, but Netflix is going to be more of an application. So that's where you got your application developers. But if you want to make a website, obviously there's the website developers. But if you notice, content users is part of the ecosystem, because you can create the best movie, you can create the best platform, but if you don't have the users, the persons that are going to view the content, if you don't cater for these persons, then you will not be successful. It's like those persons who make the best movie in the world, but if they don't make it towards the liking of the target audience, then it's not going to be a successful movie. Like, for example, the Ariel movie that came out the other day. A lot of persons are criticizing it because of what they're doing. Then they got the series that they were trying to develop, Cleopatra, and what they're doing with the characters. So once you're not catering for your target audience, once you're not taking persons' view into consideration, it could affect the success of what you're creating, what you're developing. All right, so page 42. We're now at emerging trends and digital media industries. Who's going to read for us?
I can go. As businesses and industries redefine themselves or new partnerships are created around improved or new technologies, so will the digital media ecosystem change to fit this new business model. As such, the players will be new companies or existing companies who will adjust their operations and take on new services they provide to consumers and creators. More will be done to seek more collaboration and even trade offs in businesses that have by now too well understand they cannot exist by themselves but depend on each other to attain the mutual gains they want at being profitable and a viable business.
Good. So as we said earlier, our ecosystem is adaptive. The way that we edit videos today is going to be totally different tomorrow. Could totally be different tomorrow. The way we develop applications today could totally be different tomorrow. Look at how we develop websites. In the past, everyone developed a website by creating it from scratch, you can say, using the HTML language. They would open a text editor and type out the entire code for that website using the HTML language. But today, we have moved past that. A majority of persons are no longer using HTML. It's only like if you want to fine tune your website, you want to be really in control of your website, you would still go with HTML. It's not like if it's bad or if it's wrong or if it's like outdated, but just that if you want full control, you would go that way. But a lot of persons, they just want a website. That's all they want. They just want a website. They don't want to have all of that interaction, that lower level interaction. So they go to companies that offer that as a service, developing websites. And we even have website developers where it makes it much simpler for you to create your own website. These companies, they offer you all of the services. All you got to do is design your website, like if you're playing around inside of Microsoft Word. So carrying out tasks, creating digital media content is going to continuously change. So the persons in the ecosystem, the players in the ecosystem, they got to constantly keep up to date. Keep up with the new development methods, the new way of streaming, the new way of developing. Like for instance, before internet streaming became dominant, it used to be television, it used to be cable. Everyone had cable. A majority of persons had cable because they wanted to watch television and different shows and so on. But everyone moved away from cable when internet streaming came about. So all of these online channels basically put cable out of business. Any comments? Let's see. So more collaboration will be done. And players need to understand they cannot exist by themselves, but must depend on each other. to attain mutual gains. So, like for instance, you could be the best streaming platform. Like for example, Netflix. You created the best online platform. You created the best application, the best interface. It's very simple to use and so on. But if the infrastructure for the network, for the internet, is not at its updated standard in order to stream all of this content to your target audience, then you will not have success. You will not be able to benefit yourself. So not only do you need to ensure that you are growing as a company, as a business, but you got to ensure also at the same time that the world can sustain your growth. It can sustain you as you continue to develop. We have an image in the center there, and it indicates how technology would have advanced over the years, how it would have changed, and how persons would have adapted to that change. So it's basically an example of that. Anybody wants to describe the example? That's the image on page 42. You can think of the wave like generations, like wave 1, generation 2, then generation 3, how this technology are. So it's basically about file sharing. How would it have changed over the years? How did persons adapted and changed along with it?
So like in wave one, that's when the file sharing now came to life. Like it was now introduced, and then in wave two, these companies, these media companies, kind of realized that hey, these file sharing is like it's like important and it can change people's lives in terms of how they do certain things, and then the people they wanted to access more content and like music and stuff like that. And then in wave three, we have cloud. That's when cloud came about, and social media and mobile stuff and so on. And they kind of the consumers they wanted to access the music, the books, the films, whatever the content they needed anytime and anywhere. And hence, in wave four, that's when the internet kind of changed a lot of things and giving you the opportunity to access these things anytime, anywhere.
Good, good. So you can think of it this way also, that when we used to listen to music, music was first on the records. Well, before that, not sure what it was, but it was on the records. Then it went to cassette, then it went to CD, and so on. So, like the 90s, everybody was playing music with a cassette or a CD. Now, as the internet was introduced, as devices was introduced, persons start playing music on their on devices, on their computer, on a phone, and so on. They started to play music on an MP3 player and so on. So they introduced the internet and they realized that we can share this music file over the internet. So you could have downloaded this music file to your device. Because in order for you to transfer music to a device, you had to do what was called RIP, which is basically taking the music off of the CD and putting it on the computer and then transferring it to a device. So you're ripping from the CD to a device. So that would have taken up time. You would have had to get a computer in order to do that. But then they realized that, like for example, MP3 players and computers and so on. Look, we could create a service whereby you can transfer music over the internet, maybe download it over the internet. So they allow that. And then persons realize that, look, if we can transfer music, why not be able to transfer documents? Why not be able to transfer photos? Why not be able to transfer videos? So we started transferring all sorts of files over the internet using various devices. So it got to the point whereby now everything we wanted to be done over the internet. We wanted to watch movies over the internet. We wanted to stream over the internet. We wanted to communicate over the internet. That's the life that we're living in now. We want everything to be connected to the internet. We know we have like in those first world countries like China and US and so on, almost all of their almost all of their devices are connected to the internet. Their doors connected to the internet. Their microwave is connected to the internet. Their fridge is connected to the internet. Their lights are connected to the internet so that they can have control, they can have communication, check on the devices, use the devices. So as soon as you walk into the door, the light turns on. Coffee start making right away. You enter the room, the light turns on, coffee start making right away. The heater turns on right away. You leave the room, the light turns off. All of these things. That's the world that person wants to live in today. Any comments?
I am shocked that they want to live in such a world.
And why is that?
That is scary. I don't know why.
It very
but,
much
like,
is. But you see, you need a society whereby you can trust the society, trust persons. And it has, it has countries with almost little to no criminal activities.
Oh yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and what they did, those countries, they put methods in place to make persons not want to carry out criminal activities. They either make the what's the word? The penalty so high that they would not even think about doing it, or they ensure that all of their citizens are well catered for. Because remember, that's the reason why persons commit crime. They're dissatisfied with life. So by ensuring all the citizens are cared for, then you have a society whereby persons would even think about committing crime and so on. And you can have one of those smart lock on your door. Might not even think about locking your door. You just got security cameras, and as soon as you walk up to the door just open magically. So much possibilities.
Yes, very lot.
All right. Shall we stop here for today? We've covered 2 objectives.
Yeah, we can.
Shante finally got her food.